The Wisconsin rental laws are a set of rules that govern the leasing of property. Being familiar with these rules can have big benefits for landlords and tenants in the Badger State. We're eForms, the world's largest online database of fillable legal forms, and in this video we'll cover when Wisconsin's rental laws can impact you, what the law says about lease agreements, and how tenants in Wisconsin are evicted. Be sure to watch until the end of this video to find a link to a customizable lease agreement that complies with these laws. Before diving into specifics, it's important to understand how do rental laws work. Wisconsin has two groups of relevant sections in this area of law, one that applies to all landlord-tenant matters and another that applies specifically to residential rentals. But for most questions about leasing property, the first place you should check is the lease agreement and not the rental laws. Lease agreements are contracts signed by landlords and tenants that determine almost every aspect of renting a property. Rental laws do, however, set some important limits on what lease agreements can and cannot do, regardless of whether both parties have signed them. For example, the law sets rules about notice that is required when ending a lease. A month-to-month lease is a type of lease agreement that automatically renews each month, unlike a standard lease, which typically involves the landlord and tenant agreeing that the tenant will be renting the property for a year. A month-to-month lease can be ended by either party so long as enough notice is provided. In Wisconsin, a minimum of 28 days notice is required to terminate a month-to-month lease. Wisconsin's rental laws also mandate that landlords provide certain information before a lease begins. These are commonly known as required disclosures. Wisconsin has several, including some that are common in most states. Two required disclosures that are not as common are Wisconsin's requirement for a move-in checklist. If a landlord wants to charge a security deposit, the tenant must be given the opportunity to evaluate the property ahead of time and to use a written document that will later be used to see how much, if any, of the security deposit may be used for repairs. Landlords are also specifically required to inform tenants whether or not utilities are included in the rental price. Wisconsin's rental laws also control the state's eviction process. Because a lease is a contract, it can be terminated if one party violates it. But state law also requires landlords to give tenants notice that the lease may be terminated and to give them an opportunity to correct it. Wisconsin has slightly different rules depending on what sort of violation occurred. Tenants who have been at a property for less than a year must be given 5 days notice of the violation. If a tenant has been at the property for more than a year and it's the first violation, the tenant must be given 30 days notice. However, if the same lease violation has previously occurred within the last 12 months, the tenants do not have to be given an opportunity to fix the problem, and the landlord can provide 14 days notice. Both landlords and tenants can benefit from understanding the Wisconsin rental laws. To better understand related topics in property law, click the subscribe button below.